Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. This is the first video of the Mythic Plus Guide series where I show what you can do to improve yourself as a player by, for example, being more aware with your gear choices during trash and boss fights, while also creating more awareness around the different kind of affixes. This way you guys can get faster into those 15 plus keys, and by doing so hopefully get the highest item level reward out of your weekly chest. First on the list, the different gear sets for the Fire Mage. Through the equipment manager you can make and save different kind of gear sets. This is really handy as it gives us the chance to switch between a heavy AoE mastery build with some nice looking trinkets like Signaling Beacon, Decimator and Catalyst, followed by our single target boss build which will have more crit. Throwing in Shard of the Exodar on every boss fight is really nice because this gives you the power to bloodlust on every boss pull. If you are hardcore, you can buy some drums and bloodlust 2 times on a boss fight with the Tyrannical affix, for example. Or use drums should your time warp be on cooldown and your party members are crying for that bloodlust. As I showed on my streams, having high overall damage is crucial into completing your key as fast as possible. By switching between gear sets, you can maximize your damage on both the trash and the boss fights. Oh yeah, and not dying also helps a tiny bit. Here are some examples of a heavy AoE build that you want to wear on the trash, and an example of our single target build for the boss fights. As you can see, for the most part we are swapping between trinkets and legendaries, as they will influence our AoE and single target damage the most. I'm still waiting to get a heroic or mythic version of Signaling Beacon. This trinket is insanely strong and is one of the best trinkets you can use in a Mythic Plus, as it lines up perfectly with your combustion, and on top of that it also deals fire damage. Some handy tips and tricks. Switching between gear sets is really important and a big part of becoming a better player. When I'm playing, you will see me use an add-on called OP. This add-on brings up a wheel where you can select your gear choices with just one click of a button. This is far more easier and user-friendly than needing to keybind or click on your different gear sets. Try to use all of the tools that you have at your disposal as a mage, using Spell Steal on Brand of the Legion in Archway, or Spell Stealing Protective Light from a Stormforged Sentinel in Halls of Valor. You can also completely avoid mechanics when using Ice Block and Shimmer at the right time, for example using Ice Block on the Wicked Slam in the Archway. As for consumables, prolonged power potions are your go-to choice. No one forbids you from using pots on more than the bosses alone. For food you can use Mastery or Fighter's Cho to relieve the stress from your healer on certain affixes, and be sure to have some healing pots because sometimes you won't have a Warlock in your group. Last tip, and this is really important when switching between gear sets, as you will also be swapping trinkets and rings. Take note that on-use items will have a 30-second cooldown before you can actually use them, so be aware of the 30-second downtime when you're swapping gear. Oh, and using invisibility gives you the option to even change gear sets when you're in combat. The different talent builds. Even on, let's say, a higher plus key with Tyrannical, I don't switch out Conflagration for the other two, as Conflagration contributes the most to our overall damage. You can play with Rune of Power or Incanter's Flow, that is completely up to you, but be aware that Rune of Power does more damage than Incanter's Flow, because it gives you that burst in damage whenever you need it, and it's strong on moments where you are nuking down those AoE packs. However, with affixes like Quaking and Volcanic, it can sometimes become quite tricky to line everything up. Living Bomb or Flame Patch. The rule that I apply is the following. If there are really big AoE packs, like in Lower Karazhan, I take Living Bomb. When I'm in a dungeon where the packs consist out of 4 to 5 targets max, I take Flame Patch. However, if you are pushing for high keys, Flame Patch will always be better than Living Bomb. The different affixes and how they influence our choices. The only affixes that you should take in consideration as a Fire Mage is Quakening and Volcanic. Like I said only moments ago, when you are in a week with these affixes, it might be better to take Incanter's Flow over Rune of Power, simply because of the movement issues. But hopefully as you get more keys done and you become better and more familiar with the dungeons, you will learn how to play with Rune of Power even on those caster unfriendly affixes. When there is a week with bursting, be sure to keep your AoE damage in check, and at these moments it might be better to not take Living Bomb. The best part of the video, let's go over playstyle and rotation. We all know Fire is the most played mage spec in Mythic Plus dungeons, because Fire brings something unique that Frost and Arcane are unable to. Fire has that extra elusive control effect. Let's call it an extra spell to interrupt. I'm talking about Dragon's Breath. Of course, that is not the only thing. Fire is also the only spec where we can actually switch between more than one talent build for AoE damage. Don't get me wrong, Frost and Arcane are both viable, but Fire has the biggest arsenal. Let me give a quick example. The spiders that devour your party members in the Archway can be countered very easy by using Dragon's Breath. During moments like these, you are glad that you're playing Fire. Next up, I will show some footage of some Mythic Plus dungeons, and I will pick out the most common scenarios. I'm using an add-on that shows what I'm casting, so should you for some reason not be able to see what's going on, then you can always check the icons that show my cast sequence. Here I'm playing Living Bomb with Incanter's Flow. It's only a 16 plus with Volcanic, so I'd rather take Incanter's Flow. Living Bomb is great for some packs in the Archway. With the spiders it's easy, apply Living Bomb on the target and use Phoenix Flames with Fire Blast followed by a Flame Strike and repeat. On the next pack we basically do the same thing, applying Living Bomb, casting Phoenix Flames, Fire Blast and Flame Strike. Now you do have to be aware of the Devour ability. This is a perfect example of using Dragon's Breath to save your teammates from getting fucked by Volcanic. As a mage you can also blink around to position yourself for that perfect Dragon's Breath. This is the same scenario, but now we are playing with Rune of Power Flame Patch. Again using Phoenix Blaze and Fire Blast combinations to put down that Flame Strike. The difference is that right now we can use Rune of Power to give that extra boost to our AoE damage. Of course, use those Bracer procs when they do occur. Again, using Blink and Dragon's Breath at the right time is key. I'm about to use the OP add-on to switch my gear set around to my single target one with Shard of the Exodar, so you can use Heroism Bloodlust on every boss fight in the dungeon. Again here use the tools you have as a Fire Mage and execute that single target damage rotation. Shouldn't you be familiar with the single target rotation, go check out my Entorus Fire Mage guide. Don't forget to use that second pot when it's off cooldown. When the fight is over I switch back to my AoE gear. Something I did want to show you guys is how you can kind of counter wasting interrupts. Most of the time you aren't going to use any voice, so the only way to make sure no one is going to waste any interrupts is to simply wait till the end of the cast to interrupt. This also has another positive side, because waiting for the interrupt will also result in her not casting as many torments. Also, calling out in chat that you used an interrupt can be really helpful for your teammates. Before starting on the general, I'm changing my gear again so I can make use of that extra time warp. Should you have any unused trinkets or rings, make sure you switch gear beforehand because of the 30-second cooldown. There you go, the first guide of my Mythic Plus series. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like this video if you liked it and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see more of me or have personal questions, I also livestream on Twitch. All of the links you need are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.